We're going to go ahead and get started today. We'll probably have a few stragglers coming in, 3 or 4 that are RSVP that aren't here yet. If you ever get to a point where you need to leave today, no worries. Feel free to take off, wave, and whatever you need to do. So if we go over a couple of minutes, again, leave when you need to. Everybody in here is a customer. I appreciate you being here. Some have been customers for a very long time and some not as long, but we appreciate you being here. Introductions, Ben all the way in the back, our operations guy. He's been here for 13 or 14 years. Ed, the owner of C3 Tech, he started the company 20 years ago. And then his son Adam here, he's been rolling, that depends on when you count. We actually can't say how long he's worked for us. On paper, probably about, yeah, 5 years, probably 5 years. He's our service desk delivery manager, taking care of the tickets, making sure they get out the door. So he's also going to be our speaker for today to discuss AI. Be interactive with it. If you don't have a clue what he's talking about, raise your hand, ask questions, because not a lot of people have messed with this a lot. Hopefully you get something out of today, and ask questions. Last, I'm Brian Key, business development. Find our new employees. Probably need to do more marketing, but kind of whatever they need us to do. So Ed, do you want to throw your 2 cents in? Okay, let's get into it, Adam.
Sounds good. All right, so I'm sure as all you guys know, today's topic is about AI. You probably can't even open your phone and get on the news for more than 30 seconds without seeing the word. So what kind of want to start off and see what you guys, kind of what your understanding is and things, because honestly, depending on how you use it, it can be as big as the changes like when the computers came along. It went from pen and paper to computers. So I just want to see what some of you guys have used AI for, or maybe some of the tools you guys have used before.
I know absolutely nothing.
All right, nothing wrong with that. That's what we're going to go over the good baseline on everything. So.
I think I did ChatGPT once or twice.
ChatGPT, all right.
I put together a PowerPoint. I think it was ChatGPT.
Okay.
And it was amazing. I couldn't believe what it did.
Yeah.
So I was able to do more of it.
Perfect. Yeah. Any of you guys used Copilot before? All right, a couple things. Copilot. Anybody use Gemini or Claude? All right. Okay. Very cool. So basically, we're going to kind of start off with what is AI. So basically, what it is, like versus what the media says about it, how you can apply it today, and it's a little bit different use cases. We're also going to be talking about the security of AI, because there's a lot of different buzzwords going about security, about your data, what's going on with it. So we're going to talk about how you can treat your data safe while using AI. We're also going to talk about what it's good at. What are the technological advancements it has today, and maybe what are things to come, and how you can start applying it. We're going to talk about ways you can start adopting AI, the different steps and stages, because you don't necessarily want to start with the most complex thing on your first day, because then that's just going to overwhelm you. So maybe different ways that you can start applying it. We're also going to talk about using it as a thought partner. So different ways you can chat with it and use its entire knowledge to help engage and work with your team. And we'll do a couple demos throughout as well, and then obviously some questions and answers at the end. So the first part, what is AI? I think we talked a little bit about some of the tools that you guys have interacted with AI. But I'm sure as you guys know from pop culture, from media and different things, you got different references from AI, from robots like in the Terminator to Space Odyssey, all these different ways of how AI has been depicted. But in the current stage of technology, AI is commonly referred to as what's called an LLM, or a large language model. So you got all the information on the internet, all these different news articles, these sources, these tech documents, all these different things. AI currently is basically a compilation of all that information, and it's essentially what would be like a text predictor. So if you think about how autocomplete, if you're typing something on your phone, it'll recommend the next 3 words. Think about that, but on a 10 times scale. Like it just on another level of predicting what the next thing is going to be. Now it definitely makes it seem a little bit dumber than how it appears when we're interacting with it. But that's because it's using all the information pretty much all over the internet to help know where people have used these scenarios, take experiences where people have talked about these topics or these subjects, and help find the best one for it. So it's a tool. It's not autonomous. It doesn't think for itself. You still got to engage with it. You still got to prompt it. You still got to check it. But it has it's an infinite resource on information that at your fingertips. So second thing is AI secure. So there's probably 2 ways to talk about AI. It's the personal or public, and then there's enterprise or business. So a lot of you guys, I'm sure, on your phones, or if you just go to chatgpt.com, you don't even have to sign in nowadays. You can start chatting with it and giving you some answers, and sometimes it's even free on your computer. So that's often what's called personal or public AI. So while it gives you a lot of the same answers, some of the downsides with public AI is that you are not secure in your data. Anything you upload, anything you tell it about, that company is using that information, it's storing it to help train to make the next version of its AI better. So while that's not necessarily a bad thing, because the way you engage with it, the way you chat with it will help it improve, the problem is if you start putting confidential files, maybe business reports, quarterly earning reports, or employee information, that's information that now ChatGPT or Claude or Google now have in their training data, which can become a data risk. It can lead to compliance issues with some of your organizations. It can lead to HIPAA violations if there's maybe health data or something in there, or just it can show up somewhere else. And because you no longer, it's just like if you post something on the internet, it stays there forever. If you put something in ChatGPT on your personal, you can't control where it goes after that. So, and then versus there's enterprise and private AI. So I'm sure, as you guys know, just like your emails, you can go sign up for a personal email today. It takes 3 clicks, and now you got a new email address. Versus an enterprise one, you got to work with your IT, you got to create an email account, got to get a license, things like that. AI is very much the same way. The best way to use it securely is to use it in a enterprise or business situation where you've got policies in place, just like how you can control what type of licenses people have on your email, what features they get, what things they can and can't send. Same things with AI. You want to use it in a secure environment where you can control who has access to the AI, what they can do with that AI, and what's done with the data. So most of the AI tools, I think ChatGPT has an enterprise model, Copilot has a business one. If any of you guys have a Microsoft email account, it's actually already available. It's included in your license. You can check by when you use Copilot, there'll be a little shield at the top. That's a enterprise controlled one. Anything you do there won't get trained publicly because it's tied to your work organization. There's other tools that we recommend. One is called HATS. It's an AI agnostic tool, just like Copilot, where all the data is secure, but you can use any model and chat with it. It's called HATS. H-A-T-Z. So all these new companies have to spell their things their own way. So, and so the benefits of using the secure and the enterprise ones is you have the control. You get to choose what's done with the data. You get to choose who has access to it, and you can choose what it integrates and what it talks to. So you can choose if somebody can talk to their email from it, or if it can't see your email. You can choose what it sees on your SharePoint or your file server or things like that. Any questions about public or private AI or things like that?
In the enterprise system, is it training everybody within that enterprise? So within our company, if I entered something, it'll train the system, but will somebody else in the company be able to access that same information?
So that's a great question. With that enterprise AI, you get to choose and pick. So you can pick, hey, what I have access to is what I have access to, or things shared between people in my organization, versus with public, you just kind of, you use it and you don't, it's out of your hands at that point. But with enterprise, it's generally locked down, so just it's siloed to you. So if you put HR documents in, Connor can't go and see what you put in or things like that and chat with it. It's a lot more configurable, just like with your SharePoint. You can control what somebody else has access to versus what you have access to. Some general rules, some safety guidelines. Even with the secure AI, you can never be too safe with some things. We generally don't recommend putting super confidential things like passwords, social security numbers, or health info. Even though that AI is secure, it's another step of security. Just don't put that information there because it's plain text or just information that probably shouldn't be getting out anyways. Using company-approved tools for work tasks. Make sure you're not using a personal email account, account, because like I said, that's not something that's controlled, not something that's managed. So check with your organization, see what your rules are. Internally, we have an AI policy where we can only use a handful of AI tools. The rest are not approved. If you guys are looking at implementing a policy like that, let Brian and I know, and we can talk about getting something like that for you guys as well. So that's something to think about, because common theme with AI is what's called shadow AI, where maybe you have some structure, maybe some guidelines, or you don't have any guidelines around AI. So a lot of some employees may think it's a free-for-all. They're just going to use whatever's quickest and easiest to them. So think about getting ahead of the game, having some rules in place, having some guidelines will help make sure that they're not using it the way they're not supposed to. Next thing is always review AI before sending. I'm sure you guys have asked AI a question and it confidently said the wrong answer. For example, Ben was chatting with the AI, and he was trying to figure out how often some Easter date happened, and it confidently gave him 6 dates over the past 6 years. 3 of them were completely wrong. I don't even know if one of them was even this right month. So that's always something to check with AI, just like how sometimes when you're, I don't know if you guys remember, like when you're doing research for school or things like that, you gotta go check your sources. AI is kind of the same way. You gotta making sure the information it's pulling is correct. Sometimes it can hallucinate, just give the wrong thing, and it's always gonna be confident it's the wrong thing too. So you gotta so always recommend checking that. Another recommendation I usually do is when I'm chatting with the AI and it's asking something, I'll usually say, hey, can you provide me the source, maybe the page number from that document? That way I can go check myself, make sure it lines up, and then send it off while making sure it's correct. Another thing, like we talked about that organization usage policy, something to consider, because that you can get ahead of the game, get some ground rules in place to make sure your team's using it effectively. Last but not least, if you're not sure if it's okay to put it in the AI, it doesn't hurt to avoid it. So obviously, if you have any questions, you can always ask us about when engaging things with AI, but it never hurts to omit information or redact it before putting it in, just because that's one less thing it has. Next thing is kind of what's AI good at? We hear about all these different things on the news or in media, like, oh, AI replaced 3 employees at my organization, or oh, I freed up half my day using AI. But what is it actually good at, and what can it actually do? So as we talked about, AI is really big in the text in some media space, where it's really good at text and engagements. So some examples of those are writing and editing documents. I'll use it all the time where I wrote up an email and I barely passed English in high school, so all my stuff's run-on sentences and things like that. And so I'll give it to AI and say, hey, can you clean this up for me? And it'll split out all those sentences, make different bullet points, or maybe split out different separate paragraphs or omit things. Researching and summarizing. I'll use it to give it a long document. Maybe I'm trying to figure out some rules or some compliance for a certain system. I can say, hey, what are some questions, or what's the requirements on this? And it's able to read through it, provide those information, and summarize it. Brainstorming. When given the right prompts and right questions, AI is a great opportunity to brainstorm. I'm sure you guys have done when doing research, you got 6 Google tabs open, you got 3 different articles you're reading through, trying to figure out different forums from different people on how they solved your problem. AI has got all of that at its fingertips. So you can just ask it some of those questions and it's able to come back with all those answers tailored to what your business is. Data explanation is another great one. Uploading Excel files, uploading data reports, things like that. It's able to read through it, look at the stuff that's important, tell you the stuff you're not wanting to look at, just like with the research and documents. Repetitive tasks. If you've done something multiple times and it's pretty much 90% the same way you do it, maybe you do something a little bit different here or there, or you're just rephrasing things, that's exactly where AI comes into play. If you can give it its input, output, and instructions, AI can probably do most of that work for you. Last but not least, communication help, just like with the writing, explanation, summarizing those emails, rephrasing things, or maybe you get a confusing email from somebody. I put something in where I'm not sure what they're asking and I've rephrased it. Maybe how does this apply to me as well? Another thing is like training AI like a new employee. I'm sure as your first day on the job, or when you have somebody's first day on the job, you don't give them the keys to the kingdom and tell them to go ahead and start working. Usually you have some introduction training, you give them some guidelines. Usually you gotta be pretty specific with your tasks. AI is the same way. It's just basically a new employee on its first day every time. So when you're talking to AI, make sure you tell it where the file's at, what you need to do with it, and usually be more specific. The more information you can give AI, the better the result it can be. So, and also sometimes it's like, hey, can I need this in a PowerPoint document when we're making a presentation, or I need this in the speaker notes. For example, this presentation, when I gave it the outline I had, I said, hey, I need 2 files. I need a PowerPoint file to present with, and I need a list of speaker notes that I can reference and talk through as well to match. And so the more information I was able to give it, the more I was able to spit out, versus I probably would have just gotten a long text document of all the things to talk about. Next thing, we're going to talk about what's called crawl, walk, and run. A lot of our AI tools, they talk about when adopting it and using it, making sure you're not jumping to the deep end too quickly, because I'm sure we've seen all the cool things it can do. We try to do that, and we're sitting there 2 hours in trying to figure out how to get this thing to talk and how to get it to do what you're doing, and you just give up and then realize it's not for you. But if we take those steps and we look at finding ways we can use AI slowly, over time we can level up our usage with it and level up our experience as well. So the first one we're going to talk about is what's called crawl. These are things that really don't take you much time at all. You're able to do a couple things here and it gives you a quick response. It's not saving you a ton of time, maybe just making your experience a little bit better. Next thing is to be walk, things that take maybe a little bit more effort. You may be adding a couple steps, maybe doing a little bit of front work. but it's able to give you a lot more results. It actually starts saving you some more time. It starts taking a little bit out of your day. And then Run, we won't talk about much of this today because that's where it starts getting unique to you and starting more detail. But that's where you do a lot more front-end development. You do a lot of programming. That's where you get things talking to each other, and that starts doing things for you. That's where. But these crawl and walks, I use different examples for these every day, and it saves a ton of time in my day. Run is something I only have to do once or twice, but it saves much time. But I find a lot of value in these first two steps. So the first one we're talking about is crawl. This is pretty much just like how you guys are probably using ChatGPT or Copilot or AI today. It's just those basic questions. Using the internet's resource at your fingertips, just asking a couple things, give it an email, say, hey, can you clear this up for me? Write this up, summarizing documents, things like that. I do have an example we're going to share here. Let me switch over to it. I had to generate a fake 20-page quarterly business report because I'm sure something you guys have to do in your leadership meetings, your executive reports or financial report, and nobody wants to sit and read 20, 30-page documents all day. So what I was able to do is for example, here's that document. I made a fake IT company and had it print 20 pages of all these different reports, all the reports and summaries and things like that. And instead of having to spend an hour of my day going through, reading it, figuring out what it says, I'm able to take that document here. So let's pull up our chat. And so this is the HATS tool I talked a little bit about. This is the one we highly recommend because it works with any AI agent. It's got all the different models available. So I'm able to use Claude for this example. And so let me take that file here, and I'm going to upload it. Let me drag that here. So now it's got a copy of my file, and I'm going to tell it, let me grab the instructions here.
Which AI tool is this?
So this one is what we call HATS. So basically, it's a tool that has access to multiple AI models. So I'm able to come here and I can pick different tools. So let me.
But you're secure within.
Yep, it's secure. It's tied to just my organization. So anything I do here doesn't get trained off to them. Anything our employees put in here, it's local. So I could pick if I wanted to use Amazon's models or if I like some of the Google ones or things like that. I could pick and choose between it. And so I'm sure, as you guys have seen, 1 week Copilots or ChatGPT is the best in the business. 3 days later, Claude or Anthropic has one that's way better, and then Google comes out. Benefit of a tool like HATS is it's AI agnostic, so they get the new tools as they come out. So tomorrow I could switch to Google's when it's got a better model, or I can go to a more efficient for photos and things like that. So I gave it the thing here, and I'm going to tell it, let's see. Hey, I have a 20-page quarterly report. Can you summarize the key findings, trends, and recommend some items in 5 bullet points, and make it concise so I can share it out in an email. So it's going to spit through here, and it's going to read through the document. So as this is running, does anybody have any questions so far, or maybe some scenarios that have come across their mind?
With this program of HATS,
Mhm.
if you're using Claude one day and then something else the next, it sort of keeps track of that
Yeah,
for you?
it's the way you interact with it, regardless of the AI. There's actually been scenarios where I've had a conversation and I'm like, oh, I need to do some presentation stuff now, so I'll switch to ChatGPT or Gemini because I know it's better for PowerPoints, and it has the same conversation. It doesn't even know I switched AIs.
You're consciously making the switch in that, or it's deciding for you?
So I'm choosing to make the switch, but they do have an option where you can click, it's called auto, and it'll pick the best option for you. So yeah, so for example, I ran this report. It said, here's my findings. I'm gonna go ahead and minimize this. It said, here's my strong financial growth margins, customer base expectation retention, all these different details. So now I got a quick report of a 20-page document I can just send out. And as you guys saw, that took me 5 minutes. And I was able to go do something else at the same time. And for example, like you guys were asking, maybe I don't like how that AI was talking to me. I can come over here, and let's say we want to talk to Google's new one. Maybe they have some new features. They're better for document analysis. I'm going to pick Gemini 2.5 Pro, and I'll click Edit, and it's going to run the same thing. I didn't have to change anything on that. So you're able to switch back and forth between different models. And another thing is, if I wanted to, I could do auto, because obviously AI changes so much. I don't necessarily have time to keep track of which one's better, which one's what. They do all the work for you. You can click auto and it'll find the best one for you.
So with hats, you get access to all these, or do you have to pay for each one?
You pay one subscription to Hats and you get access to all the tools. So there's no different tiers on which models you get to. It is usage based, which is another benefit of Hats. Is I'm sure you guys have seen ChatGPT's $30 here for a person. You hire a new employee, it's another $30 a month. Hats is based on how much you use. So you could if you use AI just a little bit, you could have the same pricing as somebody who has double the amount of people. It's based on how much you use and how much you apply it. So, but here we see I got a slightly different response. It formatted a little bit differently, but I was able to get that information. So now I can send that off or do whatever I need to do with it, and it saved me a bunch of time.
So I think one of the things to touch on with Hats, because it is kind of a gateway to all the different AI models out there, but also a lot of the softwares that you guys run, like SAP or Peachtree or QuickBooks or whatever, they are starting to expose that data to AI for you. Hats will also support those custom connections. So for example, our ticketing system, we were able to connect it to our AI so we can actually chat with Hats about our customers' tickets, and they can see trends and identify things, even though it has nothing to do with IT, but it can make those connections. So one of the cool things about Hats as a gateway to all tools AI is if your software, your solution supports anything like that, it can probably connect into it, and then it's all in one place.
You can make it a one-stop shop. So, yeah. Oh. All right. Let me grab this here. So any questions about kind of like the crawl or some of the intro ways of using AI in the chat? All right. Next one we're going to go over is kind of a walk. Basically, just to maybe getting a little bit more complex, as he talked about, Hats has all these integrations. You can talk to your email, you can talk to your Teams, your files, and SharePoint. So that way you don't have to go find something, upload it, and then 5 minutes later somebody made a change and I got to get a new copy of a document, or you have to export your calendar every time. Hats and other AI tools will talk to those systems directly. So this is a great time for some of those slightly more repetitive things, but you know what you're going to do. It takes a couple more steps. So for example, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that document here, and I'm going to tell it, this looks great. Can you send a Teams message to Brian Key with this information? So let me type that out here. And so we're able to use this little tools feature here. And here's a list of some of the integrations they have. It can do some coding. It can make Excel files, things like that. Researching tools. And this is just some of the ones that I have set up. There's obviously we don't use all the same tools that you guys do, but there's even more available for different tools and things. So I'm going to hook it to my email. And now that I've hooked it to my email, I'm going to go ahead and have send that Teams message to Brian. So it's going to go ahead and take that information, and it's going to format it and talk to Microsoft and send that Teams message over to Brian. So now I didn't even have to do anything. I just took a paper, asked it 2 questions, and it took care of all the information.
But do you get to review the message before it's sent?
Yeah, so you can tell it to review the message. For example, when it does emails, it just puts it in your drafts because it doesn't want to be responsible for something like that. So for example, I was testing this the other day, and I said, oh, that sounds great, send it over. It said, perfect, it's in your drafts. Go ahead and review it and send it when you're ready. So that way you don't have to worry about it going rogue or things like that. I could also tell it the same thing. Hey, show me a draft before you send it to Brian. Obviously for this demo, I think Brian doesn't mind what I send him. So I just went ahead and had it send, but it's able to run, and it sent that message to Brian. So I'm sure you just got a notification on his phone from me for that. So and it gave me a copy as well of what it sent to him so he can see it and check. So there's some examples of kind of walk where you're taking that next step. You took that chat, you took that file. Now you're starting to talk to your things, play around a little bit more, finding some use cases and things like that. Any questions about kind of some of the more advanced or some of the bigger connections? All right. Last but not least on the adoption set is what we call run. So this is where it starts getting a little bit more advanced, just like how I'm sure in some of your guys' business softwares, you got little integrations and things that run in the back end that take your first input and run with it and do a little bit more. Same thing with AI. The more effort you put into it, the chance you have for a larger reward. So for example, some of the things that you could do with this is multiple integrations. So an example that I have, I don't have it to show as a live demo, but we had a company that Brian was talking to them about implementing a new security software. And so they were chatting back and forth. It's an email chain in my Outlook. It's just sitting there right now. And then they said, by the way, can you upgrade these 3 email licenses for these people so that they can start using this feature? And normally what I would do is I would send that over to my triager, and she would have to manually create a ticket for so-and-so with this person, make this license, and fill out all that information. What I was able to do is say, hey, can you look at my emails and see if there's any action items that need to get put into Halo, which is our ticketing system. It went, found that email. It found 3 people that needed licenses. And it went, and I told it, make 3 drafts of tickets. It told me the information. I said, that sounds great. Go ahead and send it over. And so within a span of 6 minutes, while I was on another phone call, actually, I was able to get 3 tickets done in that probably would have taken my triager 45 minutes to parse out all the information to send it through. And that took me not that much time, and I'm able to have it run that every day. Hey, check my email. Is there anything that's not in our ticketing system that I need to go put in so we don't miss this or anything like that? And so the same thing with some of your guys' tools. You can have it talk to your emails and maybe take this Excel report from my SharePoint site and compare it against my SAP files or things like that. Anything I'm missing there and things like that. So runs where you can go off and shoot in your own direction. This is where it gets really personal and starts applying to your business in intricate and detailed ways. But it obviously does take the most time to set up because you got to configure, find out what works best, do a lot of testing. So we recommend looking at the first 2 first before jumping in the deep end on this. Any questions so far? Next is another recommendation. It's probably more along the crawl step, but using it as a thought partner. For any of those who are into reading, there's a great book I recommend called The AI-Driven Leader. It's by Jeff Woods, and he talks about, and it's even a couple years old, and he talks about how he used ChatGPT and basically took the knowledge of the internet and he was able to use it as what he calls his thought partner, where it's not necessarily making the decisions for him, but he's using it to help prompt him. Just like how when you have business coaches or different things, they're not necessarily making all those administrative decisions for you, but they're using the knowledge they have, the experience they have training and teaching other people to maybe spark some ideas and maybe get some information for you. So an example the framework he often recommends is what he calls the CRIT framework. So it's got 4 steps: context, role, interview, and task. So this is the best way he has found to give the AI the information it needs to help him out. So context is basically, what are you, what's the situation, what's going on. So for example, we'll do a demo where I said, hey, I'm at work at an MSP in Southern Indiana. We've got about 20 people wanting to attend a training on AI and how they can use it in their businesses. They've got all these different verticals and these different roles. And I told it its role, which is kind of like what I need the AI to act as. What scenario is it playing? And I told it, hey, can you act as a public speaking expert who specializes in AI topics? And the next thing I told it to interview. The best thing you can do with AI is have it get some of the information it needs. It's not going to always ask follow-up questions. Sometimes you got to tell it to ask you some questions. So for example, I told it, ask me up to 3 questions, 1 at a time, on some things that you might find useful when building out your outline. Next thing is task. What do I want it to do with all this information? I told it, hey, can you make me an outline on that I could use for making a presentation on AI? So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here.
Is CRIT a prompt or?
So CRIT's like a prompt template, I would say. So which we can send out some of the information along with the recordings of the call. Yeah, we'll send a copy of the slides out as well. But basically, it's kind of like the 4 steps to making that prompt. So I went ahead and made a prompt here. I'm going to go ahead and show it, where I pretty much pre-filled out the information. I said I work at an MSP in Southern Indiana. We got a lunch and learn. There's about 20 of us here. And they're wanting to learn more about AI. How can they tie it into their businesses and improve productivity? I'm sure you guys remember there's a survey you guys filled out with some of the things you knew about AI before coming in. So I went and told it, hey, some of our people already know about ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and Copilot. And they're wanting to learn how they can use it safely, which is one of the questions you guys asked, as well as getting a basic understanding of the tool and tips and tricks. So I was able to take that information you guys provided, put it in this little format here, and then its role, I wanted it to be a public speaker. I need you to specialize in AI. I want you to find topics, outlines, and other things to cover in a training session with these people. And then I wanted it to get some more information that it needs. I said, hey, can you interview me? Ask me 1 question at a time, only 3 questions though, and get some more information that you think you would need to build a presentation. And then obviously the last thing is its task. How do I want that information? I said, just give me a simple outline and for that presentation so I can give it to them regarding AI. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that here. And we're going to go ahead and switch over to the conversation. So we'll start a new conversation here. And I'm going to go ahead and give it that information that we just talked about, and I'm going to go ahead and let it run. And so now it's taking that, and it's going to, first thing it's going to do is come back with a question that it wants me. So I've done this a couple times just to see how it does, and every time I'm going to ask this conversation, it comes back with different questions, different results. That's one of the benefits of AI is it's always unique versus like when you're working with a basic tool or like certain computer programs, it always gives you the same response every time because it's just input and output. Versus AI, it's learning, it's taking different scenarios. So I could run this 100 different times, same model, same system, same scenario. I would get a different response every time. So its first question says, hey, what are some of the industry verticals that our clients are operating in? For example, healthcare, manufacturing, real estate. And so I'm gonna go ahead and tell it that we've got some people we've got some in manufacturing, we've got some in retail, we've got some in finance, and give it that information to go with. So now I've gone ahead and give it follow-up questions. So now it's going to start finding AI solutions and AI tips and tricks that tailor to those markets. Now, its second question is wants to know more information about safely and securely. So what are some of the things that they're worried about? Data privacy, compliance, vendor reliability, or employee misuse. So I would probably say for here, I think data privacy, compliance. Any others that you guys would want to ask it about? Yeah, all of the above. All right, we'll go ahead and tell it that. We'll tell it all of the above. All right. And sometimes it won't even need all three questions. It looks like this time it's going to ask a couple more. Great question. What are some of the roles? Because obviously the things you're going to tell AIs to a junior employee are going to be a little bit different than you're talking to your leadership people where they're making different decisions on how they want to incorporate and use AI. This is probably going to talk more about, for example, I'll tell it it's mostly leadership attending this, but if we had maybe it was a training with your employees or something like that, maybe we tell its employees. And it would maybe change how it's wording some of this because it's probably going to focus on some of the security around it and some of the compliance factors versus with employees, it may talk about how to use it safely and things like that. And obviously, since I'm just typing this on hand, I'm keeping them pretty short and concise. But the more you can give to AI, the more it can build off of that. The more, just like how when you do your Google searches, sometimes you gotta reword things or paraphrase certain things, or give it some more context. Same thing with AI. The more you tell it about it, the more it can tailor that to you. So perfect. It got its three questions they want, and it gave me a 60 to 75 minute outline on what I could do. And so it talks about where AI is at today, understanding it as a tool, some of the security compliance and things with it, vertical specific. So it talked about how for retail we could use it for inventory for forecasting, customer service chatbots, maybe when you're chatting on your site for some of your sales or your services. I'll personalize it. Manufacturing, maintenance items, keeping schedule, things like that. Supply chain and quality control. Finance, looking at some risk factors, risk analysis, document processing, all these different things. And it continues talking about some red flags, how you can implement it, maybe some questions and getting engaged on that, and it gave you some information I would want to prepare going into this meeting. So I actually used this when I was building our training and our PowerPoints. And so what I was able to do is actually I said, that's great. I looked at it. We had a couple more things I wanted to add in. I sprinkled them in. And then I turned around and said, hey, here's my outline. Can you go ahead and make me a PowerPoint as well as some speaker notes for this? And it went and printed me out a PowerPoint. That's actually the PowerPoint we're looking today. I did probably 3 things on the PowerPoint by hand. And that was putting our logo in, and I think changing one word on something. The rest I just had AI do it, and if I didn't like the photos, I said, hey, can you change the photos on this or things like that. The whole thing was purely AI generated, and I probably spent 5 minutes on it versus if you knew my PowerPoint skills, it would be all white, all blank, and just plain text throughout the whole thing. So it was definitely more engaging to watch.
So you don't necessarily, you could say, if, as I'm not expert in Excel, but I could say, make me an Excel spreadsheet that
Yeah,
And it would.
yeah, I'll do it all the time. Like I know a basic set of formulas, but I can't remember how to make a pivot table or things like that. So sometimes I'll say, hey, I need a pivot table on this for this items, or I need to get a report that counts these items. And sometimes they can show me how to make the report if I'm gonna do it myself, or I can give it the file and it'll add it in itself. Same thing with coding. Ben's are probably our resident coder and knows that. I haven't even done like 3 lines of code. And so, but when we get a troubleshooting issue, I'm able to give it some of the lines and say, hey, can you help me understand what might be going wrong in this? And it's able to excel my knowledge and help me learn more about something that I don't know about. So basically, it's always having an expert in the palm of your hand for some of these questions and
I've
things.
also used it where if I've asked it to do something, like you said, adding your logo, so like after I get a template, sometimes I'll send in, here's my logo, here's a couple of brand standards, whether it's font and color, and boom, it then adjusts it to add even in the brand colors and font.
Yeah, telling the information it needs. For example, I think I told it, hey, here's our company website. It's myc3.tech. Do you mind using the color theme from this? And it went. That's why it's all blue and that light blue colors, because that's what our website's based off of. And it actually originally pulled some photos from our website and used them and stuff. I went and changed them out. But giving that information, if you have a rule of how you always make your companies, their fonts and things like that, tell it that stuff, and it'll go ahead and use that information to build it out, just like you have instructions for your things.
You just like when you like a logo, you just drop it in like you did that file.
Yeah, so I could add it to that. I could say, hey, here's where it's at in my SharePoint or something like that. You can do a lot of different ways for it. I think for the PowerPoints, I said, hey, can you just generate some logos? I wanted to be simple business thing, but you could definitely say, hey, here's some photos. We had an example of somebody else I was working with. They had some media that they were going to post online on social media. They had the old product, and they said, hey, can you take this old as an old advertisement page, and can you update it with this new photo, which is the new product? And so they were able to take it. The AI took and photoshopped the new photo onto it. So now they didn't have to do any work. They took the old thing that they probably spent a lot of time building the first time, and they just updated it to the new product and new service. Some quick tricks, basic things to keep in the back of your head when using AI. Oftentimes, I'm sure as you guys start getting sideways, you just hit restart, or I'm asking a new question. If it's a different conversation, it doesn't hurt to start over, but the AI will learn based on your conversation. So it has that whole history when you're talking to it. So if you told it back in the beginning, I need to be short, easy to understand for a business presentation, if you keep it in that same conversation, it's going to remember that and see back that and reference it. Also, assign expertise. Tell it who you need to act as. It's got the whole resource of the internet at its hands. It has information from legal experts, from financial advisors, from business coaches. So tell it who you need to act as and who to help, and it'll help you get that information. Follow-ups. Like we talked about with the memory in the chat, you can also have AI remember things in specific. So I'll actually show here on my hats, I actually have given it some information about me. Because the best thing you can do with AI is make it personal, make it tied to you. So if we go to my account here, I'll actually just go ahead and click on it. And we're able to hit what's called AI preferences. So I can tell it, hey, this is the AI I like to use. Remember some things about me and use some certain tools. So I told it what my job description was. So when it's doing searches and things, it always remembers that I'm a service delivery manager. I work at C3 Tech in Southern Indiana. So it keeps that in mind when doing some searches. I told it how it responds. I don't know about you, but whenever I chat with ChatGPT, I hate when it does this emoji for every line item and a bunch of M dashes and things like that. So I went ahead and told it I don't want to see emojis. So it keeps it more human and more response-like for me. And I can give it some custom instructions. So I told it, I like when I get a list of action items from you, can you make it a bullet list? So that way I can clearly, easily see. I can tell it, hey, I want you to talk like Shakespeare in all your responses or things like that. If you have, or hey, I want you to always apply legal counsel or things like that. You could have it do all those instructions. Next thing is memory. So I have it remember some things. So I usually have to meet with a bunch of our techs twice a week. And so when I'm doing calendar suggestions and things like that, I told it, hey, I need to meet weekly with 8 different people. Here's their names, and here's when I like to meet with them. I want to meet with them twice a week, and I don't want them to be more than 30 minutes, and I don't want them to happen right after each other. And one of those guys, I need to meet once a week during this time frame. It memorized that, so when I'm doing calendar things, hey, when should I schedule these things? It keeps that in mind, and will build things around my calendar using that stuff. Same thing as here. I'm always looking for coaching advice on different things from experts on service delivery. So when I'm asking questions, things about that line of field, it'll usually provide it in a coaching manner as well. So if we go back here. So just with AI, one of the best things you can do is make it like you. Just like how when you have if you have a personal assistant or things like that, they're trying to work to make your schedule best around you. The more information you can give AI, the more it can tailor it to you. Another thing you can do is saving your prompts. With Hats, you can pin them in folders. So for example, when if I have an Excel conversation, I have it saved so I can go back and reference some documents or things like that. If I had a really good response or really good conversation with one and I want to remember it, instead of having to write it down somewhere else, I can store it in there, or I can store it somewhere or have it emailed to me. Because sometimes you have those good conversations or meeting with somebody, you want to get all those notes. With AI, it's all digital, so you can always keep a copy of it. Another thing is you don't always have to, you can copy and paste with AI. A lot of the tools have a little copy button, so you can just take that response, put it in the tool you need, or have it send the thing itself. Like we talked about with the personalization, the more it knows about you, the more it can tailor to you. Tell it about what you do at work, maybe what some of your responsibilities are, some of your roles, where you're at, and maybe some of the verticals and details about that. The more it can find in the internet around your topic, around your situation, the more it can give you that personal information. All right, just the final couple key takeaways from this conversation. Text prediction, it's primarily AI right now is all about text and some photos. So which does sound like a limitation at first, but then you realize how much text it knows. So always keep in mind it's there as a word generator. Basically, it's taking the words of everybody else and giving you the best that it knows. Making sure you're using it securely. Think about what AI tool you're using. Is it secure, and what data are you putting into it as well? Starting at crawl. I'm sure a lot of us want to dive in the deep end and have it take care of all of our daily duties starting tomorrow so we can go on vacation. But the best way we can do with AI is finding those things here and there. As all you guys got a set of notebook and a pen. Something I do is I have to keep a pen and pad at my desk, and when I'll do in a day and I'll be doing an assignment, I'm like, I wonder if this is something I could have AI do for me. So I'll write it down so that way I can remember later. Or maybe I'm thinking, you know what, this would be cool if I could have it take my Excel thing and just go ahead and run me my daily report. So I wrote that thing, and then when I had time the next day, I went and told AI, hey, can you build me a daily report that goes through my ticket assignments and let me know what's the most important thing? And it was able to go and do that. And so just writing down those ideas, writing down those things you want to try. Maybe it's something you need us to help you take a look at getting set up, configured. I always keep it like an idea notebook of all those different things that what can AI do for me. So instead of looking for ways to push AI in, I would start thinking ways that AI can take the loads off your plate. The Critic framework, which we'll send a copy of that out, is a great way for when you're chatting with it to help it get the information it needs when doing those chats. Personalizing your prompts, the more information you get, like we talked about, the more data you can feed it, the more things it knows, the better it can give that information back. Last but not least, AI is a thought partner. It's not there to make decisions for you. It's not there to act above you. Use it as a resource or as a counsel. Best thing you can do with AI is have it as a tool to give you advice, not to make the decision for you. All right, any questions? I know it's a lot to take in, so we'll send this information out. If you guys have any questions, just shoot me an email. Shoot us an email. Our team, we're learning more about AI. It's changing. Every week there's a new AI tool that comes out. There's a new service or a new way to use it. So if you ever want to learn how to apply something, just let us know.
Have you heard of an AI tool that works with LinkedIn?
Yeah, so actually this one does work in LinkedIn. So Hats does. There's an example they gave us for demo. If I was in sales, I'd probably use it all the time. Where they had a tool pre-built that we can apply where it takes all this information. So for example, if I had to do marketing emails, it has an option where I can say, hey, can you run every day at 9 a.m., do a scrape of the web, tell me all the latest things about manufacturing, put that into 3 posts, and then post that on my LinkedIn throughout the day. And it would go ahead and do that. And it would, obviously they have it set up so it would send it to me, I would approve those decisions, and it would send it off to my LinkedIn. But yeah, it does integrate with LinkedIn.
And in your case, I'm guessing, hey, I'm not looking for a marketing manager, but let's just say that we were. We're looking for a marketing manager that lives within 50 miles of here. This is the qualifications I'd like them to have. Can you send me 5 candidates that would be a great fit?
So you can use it as a sales, marketing, or HR tool.
Yeah. It can be whoever you want it to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you haven't done that, that's what I would have done.
So Danielle, our president, she
Uh-huh.
actually uses it. She uses that tool
Yeah.
to comment and post on other people's.
Okay. Well, yeah, you mean like automated stuff or read it and make a good comment
It
for me?
reads it and makes a good comment.
Interesting. The other way I just mentioned it would be a great way to find an employee though. Like,
Yeah.
I would assume that would work in some capacity.
Yeah, or if you got 35 resumes, you've only got time to meet with 5 of them. Hey, take these 5 resumes. Which ones align the most with our business values, and give it a copy of that or something like that. And it's able to parse through that too.
Any other questions?
Is Hats the only one that integrates in that way?
Hats probably isn't the only one. I think a lot of them do offer their integrations. It's just the one we recommend because you're not stuck with ChatGPT if ChatGPT becomes third in class or it falls off.
So we would have to call you all, would have to install that on our computers, right?
Yes.
Right? We wanted it, we'd have to.
Yeah. So we would help you guys set it up. It is entirely web based, so you could use it from your cell phone. You could use it from your computer or wherever you're at. That's the benefit of a lot of these online AI tools.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. So we have been talking a lot about hats. This is not a hats sales demo. There are a lot of tools out there. We've looked at a lot of the tools. We liked it because the barrier to entry is almost so low. Like we do a lot of Copilot stuff, right? Because all y'all as our clients, we like everybody being Microsoft 365. Well, Copilot, that's $300 a year per user, right? For the real Copilot where your data stays secure, that's a pretty good barrier to entry, right? Where hats, for example, it's not per user, it's by usage. We've got a very large client. They probably have 150 employees, and they just started out on it, and it's like $250 a month or something like that.
180.
$180 a month for them to try it.
For them or one person?
For their entire company. Now they've already hit their usage limit, and they're going to have to increase. But even then, it's not exponential like it is with Copilot, where you want to try it, now that's $300. Now you want to try it, now $300. So for us, and the fact that it's agnostic, it connects into ChatGPT, which is what Copilot's using, right?
Yeah.
And so it has all the same data that the other solutions have, and you're not stuck with one. So from our perspective as IT providers, we're always looking for the most agnostic solutions for our clients. That's why we've been talking about hats. But if you guys like something else and need help implementing something else, we're agnostic as well. We'll help in any of those ways.
Yeah.
Copilot, we do a lot of that too.
Yeah, we do have some clients that are on ChatGPT Business, so we've helped them set it up, tie to their email system. So if there is one you're already on or one that you do find is best for you, we will still help you guys get that set up and
But
incorporated.
HATS is a secure environment to use all of those.
All about this.
Yeah.
And
They
it's
start with
our
security.
stuff stays in.
You have all the
Your
control.
stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which you'd be shocked to see the surveys out there of how much AI is being used. Shadow AI, you mentioned it earlier. How much data is out there because people are just pasting stuff into the free AI out there, and it's free because they want to learn off of your data. So
How many people are using a paid platform right now? 3, 4, 5? Separately for you 3? All corporate.
But an individual fee for each.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And as soon as if you add another person, it's another $30 a month versus.
And we've looked into area. Is that similar to hats in a very
In some ways, yeah. Yeah. The thing we liked about hats is there's not a whole lot of config. And so if you have specific use cases, sometimes another solution might make more sense if they're more aligned with how you want to use it. The thing about hats, we just turn the customer loose and let them start using it. Like we don't have to do a whole bunch of configuration, write a whole bunch of prompts. And then once they get a taste of what AI can do, sometimes the run part that Adam talked about might mean leaving hats and going to a more specific AI platform. But by that point, AI has already brought savings to you, increased revenue, things like that.
I know area struggled to connect through the MCP to NetSuite. I heard you say earlier.
Yeah, this will do any custom MCP connection.
A lot better.
Yeah.
And sometimes it depends on the AI tool. Like for example, when I was talking our ticketing system for a couple of weeks, Gemini was pretty bad at it, so I was able to just use OpenAI, and that's some of the benefit of the agnostic tools is you get the best one.
So we have Microsoft 365, so is the Copilot on my computer public Copilot or?
Yes and no.
Okay,
Yeah, I know. The answer is yes and no. Typically, if it's only logged in with your business account, you're probably fine. But if you've logged in with your personal Microsoft account and that's the one it wants to use, it's public. So our rule of thumb for our clients is unless you're absolutely sure, don't use it. And we can send it. We probably just need to do a screen recording of how to check and just mass send it to all of our clients because there's a way you're going to show it.
Yeah, I'll actually show it right
where
here.
you can verify yourself. But you'd be surprised how many people at some point logged into their home Outlook and now it's there and you don't know which one it's using.
Or the computer came with it pre-installed. A lot of the new ones have it, and it's just sitting here on your taskbar. So if you're using it, if you want to check, A, you can always reach out to us. B, there's a little shield here, and it says Enterprise Data Protection. It applies to this chat, which means anything I do in here stays in here. Yeah, so a little shield.
Do you have any opinion on the Canva 2.0 that's coming out with AI?
So I mean, yeah. So a lot of the tools are coming with AI built in attached. I can't speak for Canva specifically on what it does with your AI. A lot of them, if you're in a business plan, do offer some data protection. That was something you probably would want to check with Canva before purchasing. Hey, when I use AI on my personal property in this chat, are you training off of it and things like that? So that's always something to keep in mind.
Okay. I have that same question for HubSpot. So rolling HubSpot out, it's got built-in AI.
Yeah. If it's built into the solution itself, you're probably going to be okay. But it wouldn't hurt to ask your agent or whoever hey, just talk to me about your AI policy on this. But most of the time, it's going to use your own data to develop itself. That's probably safe.
Anything else from anybody?
I think one of the challenges too is because we're all still learning and growing, and it's evolving as fast as the internet is, right? We need some policies and guide rails, and yes, I've even gone to Copilot and asked, pitch me a template for a AI policy. But I read it, but I think looking at experts, it would be great if we had examples that you would even potentially recommend.
Yeah.
We've had to sign them here.
Yeah, so we have
to comment.
Yeah.
I emailed them yesterday and asked them for one. They sent it to me. It's 20-something pages long. they said, hey, we'll take our logo off and you take a look at it.
So the true story is I said, I'll send you the one we recommend that we've used for ourselves. And then he sent back and says, can you help me remove your logo?
He actually had AI summarize the document for him too.
Up here to that shield, and I just said, no, I just email them and say that.
So
I just need to make sure this is
we do have, for those that don't know, internally, we're actually becoming SOC 2 compliant from a security, which is one of the rare things that MSPs are doing. We're trying to get ahead of the pack. And part of that is we need to have an AI use policy to be compliant, and so we do have one, and we'll gladly, like BJ said, we'll gladly share it with any of you guys to use and then edit. It's not proprietary in any way, but it met our compliance needs, so there's no reason you guys couldn't use it.
And there's probably a lot of employees and team members you guys have that don't know that the AI they're pasting in is insecure and stuff. So sometimes they just need to give a little bit of training, like, hey, just so you guys know, we're kind of sticking to these ones, and here's why. Because a lot of them may just be thinking, oh, it's on my phone, it was easy to use as well.
We do insurance, and so I had to have the insurance licenses updated. Well, the state of New York requires a whole cybersecurity policy, and so now I'm having to go and draft paperwork to have in files for the state of New York, and so I'm sure that
AI use will be one of them, I can guarantee you that. So if you all would like, when we can send out the PowerPoint to everybody that registered, we can send out that template. Use it or don't use it, but that way you've got it. That's all it is.
At another meeting I was at, they were talking about the AI, and they pointed out that you may not have a company policy about using AI, but don't kid yourself, their employees are using AI in their daily work, and everybody's using whatever they want to do, because they don't know what's right.
Yeah.
So, that's why you need the policy, because without it, they're guessing.
And by not having a policy, the liability falls on the company.
Right.
If you have a policy now, you're shared liability.
And one other thing to keep in mind, I don't think it probably doesn't apply to many of you guys, but there are some maybe contracts with your clients or things like that where some people do require if you disclose whether AI is used or not. So that's something to keep in mind too. Even if it is in a secure environment, you might want to check and make sure that's okay with some of your contracts with your clients or some things as well.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else. Anything else from you guys?
Yeah. Kind of like Adam said, if you've left here today and still really don't know where to start, give us a shout. or go ask your safe AI, what's the best way AI can help me, and give them your website. Start there and tell them what you do, and maybe what your job is there, and just kind of have a chat with them and talk back and forth and figure it out that way.
One last thought. First off, thanks for coming. I tell the guys and gals downstairs, they're the best part of C3 Tech, but really you guys are, because we wouldn't need them if it wasn't for you guys. So we really appreciate y'all as clients. We're trying to do more of these about every month or so of different topics. So if you have any interest in anything else, shoot us an email and say, hey, I'd love to see if you guys can do a lunch learn on whatever. Or if it's something specific to your industry or your company, we'll come to you guys and do it. But we love these opportunities to get together with clients, because now this is a lot less conversations we have to have with AI about our clients, because you guys came, got free lunch, and hopefully it answers some of your questions. So if you have anything, hey, we'd like some more ideas with Excel or whatever it might be, we would love to host training for any of that kind of stuff. So be watching for those emails, and we would love to have any feedback on that. But thank you so much for coming. Grab some to go if you need to. There's even some cookies back there.
Where did